The Urich family is suing because their daughter was subject to a lot of the same treatment as Lee's daughter, where students were told by WMS art teacher and staff sponsor of the school-sponsored GSA club, Jenna, that if they do not like their bodies, they were most likely not the gender they were assigned at birth. Really think about this. They're telling kids during puberty that if you don't like your body, you're not the gender you were assigned at birth. Does anyone like their body during puberty? I don't think so. In addition, Jenna encouraged secrecy, confidentiality, and suspicion about whether or not her parents could be trusted with these discussions and invited the Urich's daughter to attend a meeting with Splash, the organization that Chambers was associated with. Following the meeting, their daughter began to have her first thoughts of offing herself and started leaving notes for her parents about transgenderism and stating she was aromantic and asexual. In the fall of 2021, she started to question her gender identity. I really want to, this is a point that hasn't been emphasized enough. What they're doing is they're taking perfectly healthy kids that are going through the socially awkward stage that many of us have gone through. They're telling them they're trans. The kids believe them because these are their teachers. They're supposed to believe them. They're supposed to trust them. And then the kids believe they're trans and they start to hint around about it. And in the process of that, they're creating such massive cognitive dissonance in the heads of these kids who are not emotionally mature enough to even understand what's happening, that the kids are getting depressed and suicidal. The process that the schools are putting these kids through is making them depressed, is actually impacting their mental health very severely. So anytime you hear one of these trans activists say that if you don't allow your kids to trans themselves, then you are going to literally kill them. No. If you try to convince a child that is already confused enough, that is already having enough to deal with in terms of like going through puberty and like not been feeling awkward and all of that, and maybe not, not fitting in other than that, and then you try to convince them that they're trans, like when they're not, it creates massive cognitive dissonance in their head. They're getting really confused, and that confusion is leading them to be depressed and suicidal. We have heard story after story after story after story like this. There was another story I covered on my Substack. Here, I'll show it to you. There was another story I covered on my Substack a while ago. Where is it? It was around the same time as that other one. This one right here. New York teacher and elementary school sued for secretly transitioning a 10-year-old. This is also a lawsuit, by the way. You can go and see the lawsuit for yourself. But the parents found out that this teacher was secretly transing their 5th grader, 10 years old, 5th grader, when the 5th grader, several months after this teacher started using a different name and different pronouns than the parents were using, the 5th grader ended up in the school psychologist's office after having drawn pictures that indicated they were having thoughts of offing themselves. We've seen this over and over and over and over and over again. This is massively impacting the mental health of these kids. Following their meeting, we saw that already. After her experiences at the GSA club, her relations with her friends deteriorated, and she was not comfortable with the idea of potentially taking classes with them. The daughter's well-being underwent a significant decline to the point where she asked to be homeschooled. That might have been a blessing in disguise. She eventually attempted to off herself by drinking bleach and has since verbalized that her disturbed emotional state began when she attended the GSA at the middle school. So, again, I'm going to say it one more time. I understand that homeschooling your kids is not convenient, although I would argue it's going to be more convenient in the long run. I understand that it requires you to make sacrifices. I understand that it requires you to look at life in a way that is fundamentally different than you've done before and were prepared for. I really do get it. I understand that many people are using the schools as babysitters. It's taxpayer funded babysitting. I get it. But do you see? Do you see what happens? This is not unusual, guys. We have seen so many stories like this in the past couple of months. Is it worth it? Is the state sponsored babysitting worth it? I'm sorry this is hard. I really am. I am sorry that the schools are not the same schools that existed when were in school. I am sorry they've taken them over. I am sorry that this is the current state of affairs. I am sorry that it seems like there is no other option except to pull your kids out of the schools. I really, really am. I wish this wasn't the case. But this is the reality that we're dealing with. This is reality as it is right now. And it's not going to get better. It might someday, several decades from now, if everyone really hunkers down and starts doing what's required to actually fix the situation. But I'm telling you, if you have kids in school right now, the situation is not going to improve while your kids are in school. This is a generational problem to fix. Not a year, not a couple years. Any influencers that are telling you we're winning, we're winning, we're winning, they are lying and they don't understand what they're talking about and they don't understand how change management works. The left built this up over the course of the last 5 decades. This is the end result of 40 to 50 years of a battle of inches every single day. You don't fix problems like that overnight. You don't fix problems like that in a year. You don't fix problems like that in 2 years. You don't fix problems like that in 12 years. This is generational. So I'm sorry, but the only choice that makes sense to me is people with school-age children need to get them out of the public schools. School choice is not going to fix this problem because it's in all the schools. So you can send Johnny to the school down the street and Johnny's still going to be able to get into a GSA. And Johnny's still going to be taught by the same teachers that graduated from the same colleges of education. School choice doesn't fix it. I'm sorry. That's the way it is.